Hello and welcome to part 4 of the Balloon series, and today we're gonna make the main material for the balloon and enable the screencast keys. And you see I did the unwrapping new because the last one was quite a mess. I have the same themes as I made them in the last video, but this time I unwrapped it with unwrap, and the settings are angle based, fill holes, and the other two correct aspect and use subsurf modifier are turned off. And then I selected one island here. You don't have to click that, but I had enabled that. Oh, don't do anything with that. So select all in the edit mode so you see them, and then you can press L and then Control and I to invert the selection and turn off proportional editing. Then you can move these outwards of the image area. If you wanted to, you can scale it. Let's see. Return the selection. If you wanted to, you can scale it really small, but you don't have to. Just so it's outwards. And then you can adjust this and scale it. Maybe turn on the material. Until it has the right size, so maybe a little bit smaller. And now I can select with circle select, so press C and make it a little bit smaller, and now enable proportional editing down here, simply pressing O, and adjust it so the stretching goes away. And rotate everything a little bit. Maybe scale it a little bit. And you see that looks much nicer than the unwrap before. Let's see. Rotate it to see if it's nearly straight in position. But I think that looks fine. And I reset in the material all values to 0 and simply enable min and max, and that will avoid that it repeats the texture, because when I turn this off, you'll see it repeats it several times, but when I turn this off, it only uses that UV space that is on the image. Otherwise it would simply repeat this texture. So I'll show you that really quick. Oh, I don't even have to go into texture paint. Does a function repeat? Yeah. So it would repeat. So you have to think of like that, and then it simply would choose all these Blender images and map it. But when I turn on min and max, it only uses this. So the UV space that is above the image and nothing else. So maybe it's a little bit small. And turn on proportional editing again. Yeah, it looks fine. Oh, save. So Now we can polish the material a bit, and right now it will look like all the settings are really easy, but I have notes in front of my desk from the old scene I had, and I think I adjusted all these shaders and values. Maybe it took me a half day or so. So don't think that when you add all these shaders and nodes that it will work at the first time. So it's a lot of readjustment. So the first is to add translucent. I use a translucent because the fabric, similar thing that is a balloon made of, lets light pass through. And let's see, actually, do we have an environment texture? Yes. And maybe add a lamp so we get a little bit better lighting. So position the 3D cursor and add a sun lamp. And let's see, Shift C for the rendered mode. And add a quick diffuse shader so we see how strong the light is. So maybe 2. Yeah. Now assign back the original shader. This one, yeah. And I want to remove this connection. So once again, I use this add-on. I will write in the description how it is called, because it would be good for you to know that. So just look in the description, you will know the name of the add-on, so I can simply connect it with this clicking. So you see, the translucent shader lets pass light through. And the first one should be a yellow color, really bright one. And the second one is a grayish color, so not too dark. And then I will mix this with mix shader. After many testing, I found that it a value from 0.32 works really nice. And then I add a little bit of diffuse, because right now it's really blurry and you don't see much of the detail we added. Not detail, but you know, with all these creases right in here. Because when you look from this distance, you don't see much. So add the diffuse shader, duplicate this one, and as a video today, we can simply press Alt and hover over this and scroll with the mouse wheel, and you see you can change the value to 0.4, and this was again a yellow color. Maybe not that bright. I think that looks fine. Let's see my notes. Now I want to add another mix node and a glossy shader, and set down the color to a grayish one, not too dark, because this controls how much it reflects. Because let's see, when I turn it to a complete mirror. You see, now it looks more than a mirror, so something really reflective, chrome or something like that. And when I turn it down, it gets less reflective. So, set this to about here, set it back to 0.2, and just add it with 0.09. So it just gives this little bit of gloss right in here. So, this is our logo setup. So, now we want to add the Blender logo, and for that we now use the setup we made before, plug the diffuse shader below, and use the alpha as a factor. And to show that really quick, where the Blender logo is, you see it's white, so it uses the bottom connection, and everywhere else it is black, and it will use the first socket. So just here the Blender appears. So now I go out of the render mode and go into the object data and add a new UV map, because now we on the UV image editor, now we just press unwrap, just try it's a little bit distorted. F6, no, you unwrap and F6. Just try different settings, and it looks fine. Because now we need, or actually not, but keep it, this UV map, because later when we join all this together, or actually let me think, this doesn't make sense. I used it in my original scene, but yeah, I think it should work with just one UV map as well. So I now press Shift F3, so I get the node editor back, and let's try it with just one UV map. Duplicate these two, select the new texture, view the texture, you see, I downloaded this texture. I'm not quite sure, I think from Google Images, maybe from CG Textures. So I just typed in nylon texture and made it repeatable, so you can dial it. And now I scale this 30 times, and let's see, just click the first one, go over all, let's see, and now I can slide it, or let's see, I had some problems with when I tested that, so it worked actually. So there's a way you can add all three numbers at the same time. Does this work? No. So type it in, but in the 2.7 version it's possible to enter all three values the same time, but I'm not quite sure how it works. So see, when I hover, or when I select all these and slide it, it works. But there's actually a method to type it in as well. But just type it in and make each individual. And now I want to add an converter math node. Plug this into the first one and multiply. And this in the displacement. But first I want to enable the rendered mode. You should see here some changing in the highlight. And I multiplied this with 0.007 and then I put that in the displacement input, but maybe that's a little bit less. 0.01 is too strong, I think. Let's view it. Let's see this problem. Oh, because we have the mapping node, we need to plug in that it uses a UV texture. And actually turn off minute max, and now it works. Yeah. So see, 1 is way too strong. So now try the value. And maybe 0.09. And you see that gives us some nice details. So when you zoom in, you'll see the texture, but even when you zoom out, it looks quite nice. But I want to make this a little bit bigger, so maybe 25. And that looks good. So maybe play a little bit with the colors from all these shaders. Maybe make this a little bit darker, or maybe this one and this one a little bit brighter, and just finish all that until it looks nice, or you're happy with the result. So yeah, as I said, this doesn't or you can't do this with the first time, so you have to set up all these shaders and then tweak each of them so it looks like that. And this isn't too advanced shader because it still could need some more details, but I think because you don't see it from a close-up, that should work. So maybe turn the rough or the anisotropic a little bit up. Yeah. So I hope you like this video. Maybe share this or give me a thumb up, and I hope I'll see you in my next video when we Let's see. I think we start to emit particles, or maybe even start with the mate painting. So I'm not quite sure, but I will cover in the next part. But I think it will be one of these. So maybe the particle setup or the mate painting. So yeah, I hope you like it. See you in my next video, and bye. Hello and welcome back again. I now figured out how you can enter 3 values at a time. So first make it slow and then fast. Click on the first value you wanna change, and then hover over the other ones, and then leave the clicking at the center of the other one, because it's like if you click in the middle of just one, and when you make that in a fast and fluid movement, it will work. So here, click, hover over the other ones, you can slide, or simply leave the mouse. Let's see, make it quick so it works. Yeah, click here, hover over, and then enter a value. So I have here 1. So I hope I covered it now. You can do this here as well. Let's see. It don't want to work. So, and actually I think the value was 0 or 1. Yeah, and I hope now I covered that, and see you in my next video. Bye.